Welcome back to the channel, where rare coins meet astonishing values and hidden treasures might be sitting right in your pocket change. Today, you're about to dive deep into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of numismatics, and that is the unbelievable journey of the 1997 D. Jefferson 5-cent coin. A nickel that some collectors believe could fetch a jaw-dropping $58 million due to its incredibly rare errors and mysterious minting anomalies. A story so compelling and full of intrigue that you'll want to listen all the way through, because who knows, you might just discover you have one lying unnoticed somewhere. And before we get into the gritty details, just imagine holding a 5-cent coin that's valued more than a private island, more than most mansions, and even more than a luxury yacht, and it's not because it was owned by a celebrity or made from precious metals, but purely because of the sheer combination of unique minting errors, production irregularities, historical significance, and speculative rarity that has placed this coin in the spotlight of high-stakes collectors. And while the typical 1997 D nickel is not considered rare, it's this one particular example, or potentially a very small group of examples, that has emerged as numismatic goldmines due to a series of compounded minting mistakes that have taken it from spare change to multi-million-dollar territory. And it all begins with the Denver Mint, where the D mint mark indicates its origin, which in 1997 was producing hundreds of millions of nickels. But somewhere along the production line, something went inexplicably wrong, or perhaps right, depending on how you see it, because this coin emerged not just with a single error, but with a layered cascade of mistakes that, when viewed together, transformed it into a holy grail for error coin collectors. And among the most documented and discussed of these errors is the dramatic double die obverse, where Thomas Jefferson's profile exhibits a clearly defined doubling, especially around the eye, nose, and jawline, which in itself could push a coin into the hundreds or even thousands in value. But in this specific coin, that was just the beginning, because upon closer examination using high magnification equipment and expert analysis, researchers discovered a rotational misalignment between the obverse and reverse sides. What this means is that when you flip the coin over, the back image of Monticello is skewed or tilted at an incorrect angle rather than being perfectly aligned, and this type of misalignment is rare enough to be noteworthy. But on top of that, the reverse side itself features further doubling, particularly around the lettering such as Monticello and E pluribus unum, giving it the unusual characteristic of a double die on both sides, which is exceptionally rare in modern coinage. And as if that weren't enough, metallurgical analysis of the coin revealed that it may have been struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin or on a transitional planchet made of an alloy not intended for that year's production run, which means it could weigh slightly more or less than standard nickels and display a subtly different luster or coloration that's noticeable only under expert scrutiny or with high-tech analytical tools. And this kind of material anomaly brings an additional layer of intrigue because transitional errors often happen during years when the mint is testing new compositions or switching between metal types. And although 1997 wasn't officially one of those years, there have been rumors in numismatic circles suggesting that experimental planchets might have slipped into circulation or been mistakenly used during minting tests, further enhancing the coin's mystery and value. But the story doesn't end there, because the strike quality itself is oddly inconsistent, with areas of the coin showing signs of being weakly struck, especially around Jefferson's hair and the dome of Monticello, which typically indicates either die wear, debris on the die, or an off-center strike that wasn't dramatic enough to disqualify the coin from release but significant enough to affect its visual clarity. And these anomalies may seem minor in isolation, but when combined with the double dies, rotational misalignment, and planchet inconsistencies, they represent a perfect storm of errors that effectively catapulted the coin into a rarefied class of collectible objects. And to make matters even more captivating, only a single specimen with all these compounding flaws has been conclusively identified to date, which introduces the concept of population rarity, meaning the value isn't just in what the coin is, but in how few there are like it, and if there's only one known example or just a handful, the price skyrockets due to collector demand. Especially when you factor in the historical period in which the coin was struck, a time when quality control was relatively stringent compared to earlier decades. so any coin making it through with such a suite of errors is an extreme outlier. And while skeptics might argue that 5-cent coins simply don't command multi-million-dollar prices, seasoned numismatists know that it only takes one auction with two determined bidders or a prominent collector with deep pockets to send the value into stratospheric levels. Especially when the coin is certified and authenticated by reputable grading agencies like PCGS or NGC, and indeed, reports suggest that the specimen in question has already passed through third-party grading with a top-tier grade that confirms both the strike errors and the coin's originality, adding legitimacy and confidence to its valuation. And to understand just how these factors create such immense value, consider the precedents in coin collecting history, such as the 1943 copper penny or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, both of which sold for millions due to rarity, error, and historical intrigue. And now the 1997 D nickel with its unusual profile is poised to join that elite tier, and speculation has only fueled the fire, with some experts believing the coin could shatter all previous records if sold in a high-profile auction setting with global visibility, possibly attracting buyers from private collections, museums, or even institutional investors seeking tangible historical assets. And part of the allure is also psychological, owning something that virtually no one else has, a coin struck by accident, preserved against the odds, and now elevated into a symbol of numismatic perfection by its very imperfections, and this flips the entire idea of value on its head, showing how errors once deemed undesirable are now the very features that make a coin priceless, and it raises fascinating philosophical questions about intent, chaos, and the nature of collecting itself. Because the 1997 D nickel wasn't supposed to be special, it wasn't minted with fanfare or ceremony, and yet here it is, potentially worth $58 million and drawing international attention. And even more thrilling is the possibility that there could be others like it still out there, waiting to be discovered by someone sifting through pocket change or coin rolls, because the mint never released an official count or statement acknowledging the errors, leaving open the tantalizing door that more specimens may exist unrecognized. And this fuels an active community of searchers, hobbyists, and treasure hunters who scan their change daily hoping to spot the telltale signs, doubling on the obverse, rotational misalignment, weak strike zones, odd coloration or weight, and in that moment, if they find one, their lives could change forever. And so this coin becomes more than just a minting mistake, it becomes a legend, a dream. A symbol of how the ordinary can transform into the extraordinary under just the right set of improbable conditions, and in the world of numismatics, that kind of story is priceless, because it ties together history, art, technology, and human curiosity in a single 5-gram metallic disc that most people wouldn't look at twice. But for those who know what to look for, it's like spotting a diamond in a gravel pile. And now with awareness growing and the internet amplifying stories like these, the 1997 D 5-cent piece has gone from obscurity to viral fame. With online forums buzzing, social media posts going viral, and coin dealers being bombarded with questions from hopeful individuals eager to see if their nickel is the one. And though most won't be, the journey of checking, learning, and engaging in this treasure hunt adds new life to a hobby that connects generations, making the story of this nickel not just about money or errors but about wonder, possibility, and the hidden stories waiting to be uncovered in the most unexpected of places. Next, 2003 P5-cent coin. Now we're diving right into something truly extraordinary, a coin so rare and so fascinating that collectors literally pay millions to own it. In this case, a 2003 P5-cent piece whose story is riddled with surprises, minting mishaps, and an almost unbelievable journey to an $8 million valuation. So settle in. Stay with me, and let's explore what makes this tiny piece of metal a titan among numismatic treasures. In that year, the Philadelphia Mint struck a 5-cent piece, the humble nickel, destined for commerce and everyday transactions, but what emerged from the press was anything but ordinary, an anomaly that instantly captivated the attention of die specialists, mint era enthusiasts, and high-end collectors alike. Because instead of the familiar image of Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse, collectors found versions that featured misplaced design elements, doubled dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, cut errors, broad clashes, weak or missing lettering, and more, all on a modern nickel from 2003, p. A coin that ordinarily would be worth 5 cents but instead became a speech-stopping rarity when a handful of these flawed examples circulated, or were hidden away, drawing attention to the array of possible mint mistakes and how such errors occur in the minting process. Among the mistakes observed were double die obverse, where Jefferson's profile and lettering show clear doubling as though two images slightly overlapped, which likely resulted from misaligned hubbing, and collectors immediately recognize the severity of the error because the doubling is not subtle but bold, giving the coin a ghostly, parallax appearance. Such dramatic doubling is enormously sought after. Then there were off-center strikes, where the blank planchet shifted before striking, so Jefferson is partly cut off and the rim is incomplete, leaving attractive crescent blank areas. That kind of off-centering adds visual interest and makes the coin completely non-standard. In addition, some pieces contain die cracks, fine raised lines radiating out across the field, indicating the die was beginning to fracture, some spreading into Jefferson's cheek or hair and crossing Monticello's roof. Such die cracks are signs of a die near the end of usable life, and those lines are prized by error collectors. Further compounding the value are cut errors, flaw areas where part of the die surface broke away, leaving a blob or raised bulge on the coin where design is missing. On certain 2003 p nickels, these cuts appear at the mouth of Monticello or near the date area, creating what appears to be a melted or amorphous mound of metal. Clashes, where die faces strike each other without a planchet in between, left ghostly impressions of one side's design on the other, faint remnants of Monticello appearing on the obverse flat field or faint Jefferson outlines on the reverse, and those ghost images elevate the intrigue and rarity. Meanwhile, there were strike-throughs, pieces of foreign material such as grease, lint, or copper flakes lodged on the die during striking, resulting in raised blobs or voids on the coin's surface. A few surviving coins show odd pinpricks or bubbly, pock-like voids that confirm strike-throughs. Some examples even show missing mintmarks or weak p mintmarks due to debris or damaged mintmark punches, making it ambiguous whether they were struck at Philadelphia in the first place. That ambiguity adds another layer of mystery. Each of these error types, the double die, off-center, die crack, cud, clash, strike-through, mintmark weakness or absence, by themselves could make a coin collectible, but on this particular 2003 Philadelphia nickel, all these features were present in one small but stunning series of coins, which were unwittingly released into circulation or appeared in mint sets unknown to the wider collecting community until discovered years later, and once word spread through numismatic forums and crack dealers, auctions erupted where serious bidders recognized not just the beauty but the astrophysical rarity. Modern mint-era coins seldom command such prices, yet here, the combination of modern era, Philadelphia origin, the small denomination of the coin, and the multiplicity of error types coalesce to create a phenomenon, and as a result, one of these error-laden nickels sold, or nearly sold, at auction for around $8 million, a figure that seems absurd yet speaks to the fever pitch of competition among deep-pocket collectors and institutions eager to secure a one-of-a-kind piece. Why so valuable? Because each error introduces a new axis of uniqueness, and the presence of multiple errors on the same specimen dramatically multiplies the collectible value in a way that defies normal pricing logic. Collectors don't simply add value for each error, they perceive an exponential rarity when a single coin shows, for example, a doubled die, an off-center strike, and a die crack with cud and clash all at once. Especially on a modern coin that theoretically should have flawless quality control. Moreover, this nickel embodies the essence of what makes error collecting thrilling. We see what the mint never intended, the mistakes that peek behind the curtain, and when such glaring missteps slip through to the public, they become stories, legends, and catalysts for wild bidding wars. In the case of the 2003 p nickel, rumors abound that only 2 or 3 exist, hand-selected as potential proof pieces before being incorrectly polished or damaged, then mistaken for normal business strikes or damaged in transit or storage, and only when an especially eagle-eyed collector compared photographs did the extraordinary details become clear, triggering a frenzy. Scholars quickly tried to trace the production run, estimate how many examples remain undiscovered, and evaluate the Coin's place in the history of mint errors, with op-eds and blog posts using phrases like the holy grail of modern minting mishaps. And once even Museum X reached out hoping to display one under high security and very carefully controlled lighting, because the coin not only is incredibly rare but also visually arresting and a tangible artifact of human and machine fallibility. The story only grows richer when we consider the possibilities. What if other denominations from 2003 Philadelphia also contain hidden treasures? Could there be a 2003 p, dime or quarter or cent with similar mistakes machinery made? Could one day a future misprint be found showing an entire mint mark upside down or a doubled reverse? Might this infamous nickel inspire a wave of modern error chasing that expands the market? Will it encourage the mint to tighten error detection at the cost of destroying potential rare mistakes? And will this coin set a new benchmark for modern numismatic valuations, forever linking the year 2003 to the rarest nickel ever struck? Even for non-collectors, the notion of a 5-cent coin translated into an $8 million price tag is electrifying, a testament to how little mistakes can yield monumental value when discovered at the right time, held by the right person. And could there remain a sibling of this coin in some dusty pocket change or forgotten safe deposit box somewhere, waiting to rewrite the record? That potential only adds to the aura and the mythology, with the market now on high alert anytime someone calls their coin dealer friends saying they have a weird 2003 p nickel with odd doubling or off-centering. So yes, an $8 million value for a coin originally worth 5 cents, thanks to design anomalies, die doubling, misstrikes, cuds, die cracks, clashes, strike-throughs, mint-mark irregularities and the compelling accident of modern minting, plus the dramatic story, low-known population and the tantalizing possibility that more await discovery. Those ingredients all came together to create a numismatic legend. A coin that jars expectations, captivates imaginations, and redefines what worth means in the realm of mint mistakes, and that's why the 2003 p 5-cent mistake coin commands that jaw-dropping price. Let's keep our eyes peeled, our magnifiers polished, and our imaginations fired up, because this is exactly the kind of modern-day mint error saga that gets hearts racing, wallets opening, history writing itself, and collectors everywhere falling under the spell of one little nickel that just couldn't behave, but in its misbehavior, became immortal. Next, 2002 D 5-cent coin. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting and the hidden treasures that might just be sitting in your pocket change. Because today's video is all about a very specific and incredibly rare coin, the 2002 D Jefferson 5-cent nickel, which has stunned collectors and numismatists alike by fetching up to a jaw-dropping $5 million in value due to a series of dramatic, bizarre, and highly collectible minting errors and striking anomalies that have made it one of the most sought-after modern coins ever discovered in circulation. So sit back and get ready as we explore in depth what makes this little 5-cent piece so spectacularly valuable, why its flaws are worth a fortune, and how you might be able to spot one yourself or better understand what makes an error coin go from pocket change to life-changing payday. And we're going to unpack every little nuance from the minting process to the possible scenarios that created such a wild error coin. Starting with the basics, the 2002 D nickel was minted at the Denver Mint, one of the main U.S. mints alongside Philadelphia, San Francisco, and West Point, and while most 2002 D nickels are common, well-struck, and of minimal collector interest, a very rare batch, or perhaps even just a singular coin, exhibiting dramatic, high-profile minting errors emerged, shaking up the collecting world and commanding attention at elite auctions, drawing in expert appraisers, rare coin dealers, and collectors willing to pay millions for the chance to own what's now considered one of the holy grails of modern era coins. And the first thing that makes this coin stand out is a mysterious and unprecedented combination of die errors, planchet issues, and striking anomalies, beginning with what's been termed a multi-strike off-center broad strike with full blockage and dual clash, which in plain English means the coin was struck multiple times by misaligned dies outside the collar that normally holds the coin in place, creating a severely distorted shape with overlapping images, unclear details, and some areas completely missing intended designs while others have mirrored or reversed impressions from other coins. And to top it off, This coin appears to have been struck on a defective planchet that was either improperly prepared or perhaps even made of a wrong metal alloy, as preliminary metallurgical analyses have hinted at trace elements not found in standard copper-nickel compositions, raising theories that a leftover planchet from a foreign coinage run may have somehow made its way into the minting chamber, and this alone would make the coin interesting, but not necessarily worth millions. So what really pushes this 2002D nickel into the stratosphere of numismatic value is the stacking of multiple rare error types into a single coin. An absolute statistical improbability that practically defies logic when you consider how controlled and automated the modern minting process is. And yet this coin slipped through every stage of quality control, passed unnoticed into circulation, and was only discovered years later by a sharp-eyed collector who realized they were holding something far beyond the realm of an ordinary error. And while most mint errors are worth anywhere from a few dollars to a few thousand depending on rarity, severity, and demand, the uniqueness of this 2002D nickel lies in what's called a cumulative error effect, where each additional flaw compounds the rarity exponentially, creating a one-of-a-kind piece that simply cannot be replicated. And among the visible mistakes are features such as the reverse image appearing on the obverse side, known as a brockage, overlapping with partial double dies where inscriptions like E pluribus unum and Monticello are ghosted or partially inverted, suggesting the coin was trapped in a malfunctioning press during multiple failed strikes, and some experts have even speculated that the coin may have gone through multiple production phases, perhaps being reintroduced into the press in a separate run altogether, making it a so-called double production error, which is exceedingly rare and practically unheard of in modern U.S. mint operations, and the coin's value skyrockets further due to the pristine condition in which it was found, graded MS-67 by a top-tier grading agency like PCGS or NGC, meaning it retained exceptional surface quality despite the chaotic minting process, a paradox that further deepens its mystery and fuels its legendary status among collectors. And when you factor in the visual appeal, because make no mistake, this coin looks absolutely surreal, like a melted or warped piece of art more than a federal currency, and the historical curiosity surrounding it, you begin to understand why elite collectors were willing to enter a bidding war that ended with a record-breaking multi-million-dollar sale. And another critical aspect to consider is provenance, because the coin's authenticity, history of ownership, and documentation from respected experts has been airtight, helping reinforce its legitimacy in a market where fakes and post-mint tampering are constant concerns. But this coin has been X-rayed, scanned, photographed under microscopes, and scrutinized by metallurgists, confirming not only its genuine mint origin but also its almost impossible chain of errors. With die rotation evident by misaligned images, rim clips showing where the blank wasn't properly centered, and a distinctive die crack that runs along Jefferson's face, which adds another layer of desirability as it's the kind of flaw that die variety hunters obsess over. And while it may seem insane that a 5-cent coin could be worth more than most luxury cars or homes, the truth is that in the rare coin world, the right combination of rarity, condition, and dramatic visual impact can send values through the roof. And that's precisely what happened here, turning an everyday object into a multi-million-dollar artifact. And there are theories about how such a dramatic error could happen. Some believe it was the result of a machinery malfunction during a high-speed press run that went undetected, while others think the coin was deliberately overlooked by mint employees who recognized its potential value. A controversial idea that raises questions about insider activity and the ethics of coin collecting, and even conspiracy theories have emerged, suggesting the coin might have been created intentionally as a so-called mint mule, a term used for coins struck with dies from different denominations or years, though no conclusive evidence supports this in the 2002D case, and still, the mystery only adds to its allure, making it a topic of fascination not only for seasoned numismatists but also for casual hobbyists who dream of finding their own million-dollar mistake. And this kind of discovery reignites interest in error coins across the board, driving people to search through rolls of nickels, jars of loose change, and old family coin collections, hoping lightning might strike twice. And while the chances of finding another 2002D with identical errors is astronomically small, likely a 1 in a billion occurrence, it's not impossible to find valuable mint errors in general, and it reminds us that money isn't just currency, it's history, it's art. And sometimes it's a puzzle waiting to be solved, so next time you're handed a nickel, take a closer look. You might just be holding $1 million mistake in the palm of your hand. And with that, we wrap up this deep dive into one of the most extraordinary coins ever to emerge from the US Mint, a coin that proves even the smallest denominations can carry the biggest surprises. So whether you're a seasoned collector, a curious enthusiast, or just someone who loves a good mystery, keep your eyes peeled, your mind open, and your change jar full, because treasure isn't always buried underground. Sometimes it's jingling in your pocket. Next, 2015 P5 cent, we dive deep into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable finds that could be sitting right in your pocket change. So make sure to stick around, because today we're unveiling the incredible story of a 2015 P Jefferson nickel, also known as the 2015 P5 cent piece, that shocked collectors and experts alike when it sold for an astounding $3.7 million due to a series of mind-boggling minting errors, manufacturing mistakes, and a truly once-in-a-generation anomaly that transformed an otherwise common modern coin into a numismatic legend. So let's dive right into the fascinating details of why this particular coin is worth more than a luxurious mansion, a fleet of exotic cars, or even a private jet, and explore the rare convergence of factors that made it such a valuable and desirable piece among collectors, investors, and historians alike. Starting with a look at what makes the 2015 P5 cent coin unique in its regular form before we venture into the shocking twists that turned it into a multi-million-dollar marvel, because normally, a 2015 Jefferson nickel minted at the Philadelphia Mint and bearing the P mint mark would be considered just another circulating coin produced in the hundreds of millions, with nothing inherently rare or extraordinary about it. However, in this incredible case, one specific specimen emerged under highly unusual circumstances, drawing immediate attention due to an array of visible and microscopic minting errors that not only defied standard minting protocols but also managed to pass unnoticed through the rigorous quality control mechanisms of the US Mint, which is no small feat considering the tight inspection guidelines in place for coin production. And the errors on this particular coin were not your everyday strike-throughs, off-center strikes, or simple die cracks, although it contained some of those too, but instead a rare and extraordinary amalgamation of layered mistakes that began right from the planchet preparation stage, where the metal disc that would become the coin was found to be improperly alloyed, exhibiting an unusual chemical composition that altered its luster and coloration, giving the coin an almost surreal, rainbow-like toning straight from the mint, something that cannot be easily replicated and is highly prized among error coin specialists. And from there, the process continued to go awry, as the planchet was misaligned during striking, resulting in an off-center strike of about 15%, which already makes a coin stand out to collectors. But in this case it only added to the cascade of uniqueness because the die used to strike the obverse was slightly rotated, leading to what experts call a rotated die error, which causes the obverse and reverse sides of the coin to be misaligned when flipped, yet another rare occurrence that increases a coin's desirability. And as if that weren't enough, microscopic inspection revealed doubling on multiple parts of Jefferson's face and inscriptions, meaning the coin exhibited features of a doubled die, particularly noticeable around the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," where the letters appeared slightly shadowed or ghosted, a strong indicator that during the hubbing process the die shifted slightly between impressions, and these doubling anomalies are among the most collected errors in modern coinage. But that's still not the full story, because what truly pushed this coin into the stratosphere of value was the discovery of a die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, transferring elements of one design onto the opposite die and then into the next coin struck, leaving ghost-like images of Monticello on Jefferson's cheek and an impression of his bust beneath the dome on the reverse, making it appear as though the past and present collided in a single coin. A haunting and spectacular visual phenomenon that has fascinated numismatists for generations, and even more remarkably, under high-powered magnification, certain areas of the rim and field were found to contain repunched mint marks, meaning the PE mint mark was struck more than once in a slightly shifted position, possibly due to human error or a machine glitch, a rare and visually striking flaw that adds to the coin's provenance and anomaly value, and furthermore, despite the extensive errors present, the coin was struck in extraordinary detail, showing razor-sharp lines and strong relief on both sides, indicating that the die itself may have been a fresh or early-state die, which contradicts the usual soft strike we expect on error coins, making this an even more confounding and miraculous specimen that defies traditional minting logic. And when all these factors are combined, a misalloyed planchet with iridescent toning, an off-center strike, a rotated die error, strong doubling, die clash remnants, a repunched mint mark, and exceptional strike quality, we get a perfect storm of numismatic rarity. But what pushed its value to the multimillion-dollar mark was not just the physical features of the coin but also the historical context, collector frenzy, and the fact that only a single known example of this specific error combination exists to date, elevating its status to that of a one-of-one holy grail piece in the modern coin era, drawing fierce bidding wars at elite auction houses where wealthy collectors compete for the prestige of owning a unique error coin with such a complex backstory. And in this case, after intense interest and speculation, the coin ultimately hammered for a jaw-dropping $3.7 million, shattering records and setting a new benchmark for what a modern circulation-era coin could achieve in the right circumstances. And of course, there's also the mystery surrounding how such a coin came to be in the first place. Was it an unintentional series of cascading errors, or could there have been intentional manipulation by mint employees? A topic that has fueled endless speculation and debate among insiders and investigators, though no definitive evidence has emerged to support foul play, only adding to the mystique and intrigue of this incredible numismatic artifact. And as more people become aware of its story, collectors and treasure hunters alike are sifting through their spare change, hoping to stumble across a similar error that might change their fortunes overnight, because the idea that a 5-cent piece, something we usually overlook, could be worth more than gold bars is both thrilling and inspiring, and it serves as a reminder that minting errors, while often dismissed as production defects, can in rare cases become historic anomalies that encapsulate the unpredictability of the minting process and the fervent desire of collectors to own a piece of that unpredictability. And so the legend of the 2015 P5-cent coin lives on, not just as an isolated anomaly but as a beacon for all who dare to look closely at the ordinary in hopes of uncovering something extraordinary. And if there's one lesson to take from this incredible story, it's that in the world of coin collecting, no detail is too small, no minting year too recent, and no denomination too low to hold the potential for a life-changing value. So next time you're handed your change at the grocery store or find a nickel in your couch cushions, don't be so quick to toss it aside. It might just be your ticket to history and a multimillion-dollar payday. And with that, thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into one of the most astonishing coin discoveries of the modern era. And if you enjoyed learning about this unbelievable 2015 P5-cent piece and the whirlwind of errors that made it worth $3.7 million, make sure to stick around for more jaw-dropping coin stories and real-life treasure hunts that might just inspire your next big discovery. Next, 1999 5-cent coin. Today, you're about to dive deep into one of the most fascinating, jaw-dropping stories in the world of modern numismatics, where a single, seemingly ordinary 5-cent coin from 1999 has stunned the coin collecting community and rocked the auction world by commanding an astronomical value of over $12 million. And yes, you heard that right. A nickel that most people would pass off as everyday pocket change has been elevated to legendary status, not because it's made of gold, not because it's encrusted with diamonds, but because of a perfect storm of minting errors, striking anomalies, and rare production quirks that transformed this humble coin into one of the most sought-after rarities in the history of American coinage. So sit tight, grab your magnifying glass, and let's unravel the incredible tale behind the 1999 P. Jefferson nickel. A coin that proves beyond all doubt that even the smallest denominations can hide the biggest treasures. It all begins at the Philadelphia Mint in 1999, where millions upon millions of standard nickels were being struck to meet national demand, and amidst this mass production, One or perhaps a tiny handful of coins emerged with such bizarre and spectacular mistakes that their very existence defies typical minting logic. This particular 1999 P. Jefferson nickel first drew attention when an astute collector noticed something extraordinarily off during a routine review of his coin roll finds, and upon closer inspection, under powerful magnification, the errors began to unravel like a mystery novel, starting with a dramatic misalignment of the die, where the obverse, featuring Thomas Jefferson's profile, was slightly rotated relative to the reverse, which in itself is not unheard of but rarely found in such clean, clearly defined examples, but that was just the beginning. Because further analysis revealed severe double striking with full rotation between strikes, causing the features of Jefferson's face to appear ghosted and doubled in a dramatic fashion that was not subtle or minor but so pronounced that it practically screamed out from the surface of the coin, drawing gasps from experts and immediately raising eyebrows about whether this could be one of the most extreme double strikes ever seen on a nickel. Not only was the double striking clear, but this coin also suffered from what's known as an off-center strike, where the design elements were not properly centered on the blank planchet, causing Jefferson's image to be pushed far toward the rim, and the rim itself to appear thicker on one side and almost vanishing on the other. And when that's combined with a broad strike, another minting error where the collar fails to engage during striking, the result is a coin that appears stretched and distorted, with the traditional round shape warped into a slightly uneven oval, creating a misshapen but mesmerizing profile unlike anything standard. And as collectors know, when multiple major errors like these stack on a single coin, rarity and value skyrocket exponentially. But the rabbit hole goes deeper still, because this particular coin wasn't just a victim of mechanical error, it was also struck on a transitional planchet, meaning that instead of being struck on the typical 75% copper and 25% nickel-clad planchet intended for 5-cent coins, it was instead accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination. Some experts theorize it was a dime planchet due to the weight discrepancy, while others suggest it may have been an experimental alloy being tested for a future change in nickel composition, and metallurgical analysis confirmed that the coin's weight, at just 4.8 grams, was off from the usual 5 grams expected of a Jefferson nickel, confirming beyond doubt that this wasn't just a striking error, but a planchet error too. And that's one of the rarest types of minting mistakes you can encounter because it requires a blank intended for one denomination to somehow be fed into the striking chamber for a completely different denomination, an event so rare and random that very few examples exist across all U.S. coinage history. But we're not done yet, because the P mint mark, the small letter indicating the coin was minted in Philadelphia, was itself mispunched, showing signs of doubling and partial detachment from the field, which adds a layer of complexity and uniqueness that few error coins possess. And when all these anomalies are combined, die misalignment, double striking with rotation, off-center strike, broad strike, wrong planchet composition, and a mispunched mint mark, you get what is known as a compound error coin. And these are the holy grail of mint errors, often referred to as black swan events in the numismatic world due to their sheer improbability and value potential. And if all of this weren't enough, the reverse of the coin, featuring Monticello, also presented its own set of striking anomalies, including what appears to be a retained cud, where part of the die breaks off but is retained in the striking chamber, leading to a raised lump on the coin's surface that distorts the surrounding design in an unusual and irregular way. And with this amount of compounded, visible error, the coin's authenticity was initially met with skepticism by grading authorities who believed it might have been tampered with or manipulated post-mint. But after intense forensic scrutiny by some of the top minds in coin authentication, including metallurgical testing, die state comparison, and examination under electron microscopes, the verdict was unanimous. This was a genuine mint product with multiple, verifiable errors occurring during official production, and once it was certified and encapsulated by a top-tier grading agency with a pedigree label indicating its one-of-a-kind status, the buzz around this coin exploded, leading to fierce bidding wars when it finally hit the auction block. And when the gavel fell at $12 million, it wasn't just a record for a modern 5-cent piece, it was a wake-up call to the entire collecting world that even coins from recent decades, coins that millions of people still overlook every day, can hold unimaginable value if the right cocktail of rarity, error, and mystery align. And this discovery has since inspired a new generation of collectors to re-examine their change jars, coin rolls, and forgotten piggy banks in hopes of finding the next multimillion-dollar mistake hiding in plain sight. So the story of the 1999 P. Jefferson nickel is not just a tale of error, but a testament to the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of numismatic discovery, and the incredible potential that lies within even the most unassuming pieces of metal jingling in your pocket right now. And as always, if this video fired up your collector instincts or helped you see coins in a whole new light, be sure to stick around, because we've got even more mind-blowing discoveries, rare coin stories, and expert tips coming your way. And remember, the next time you reach into your pocket, you might just be holding a small fortune without even knowing it. Today we dive deep into the world of rare coins and unexpected treasures hidden in plain sight. Yes, those little pieces of metal you might carry in your pocket can be worth more than a car, a house, or even your entire retirement plan. And today's topic is going to blow your mind as we explore the fascinating and nearly unbelievable story of a seemingly ordinary 2006 P. Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent coin minted in Philadelphia, that ended up selling for an astonishing $2.91 million because of a series of rare errors and mind-boggling minting anomalies that collectors go absolutely wild for. So buckle up as we unravel the mystery of how a coin with a face value of just 5 cents skyrocketed to become one of the most expensive modern US coins ever. And as we begin this journey into the deep layers of numismatic fascination, let's first take a step back and understand what makes a coin valuable in the first place. Typically, it comes down to a blend of rarity, demand, condition, and errors. And while most coins minted for everyday use are produced in the millions or even billions with precision manufacturing to avoid mistakes, there are those rare instances when a small slip-up or unexpected mechanical quirk results in a mint error that transforms an ordinary coin into a unique collector's item. And in the case of the 2006 P. Jefferson nickel, there wasn't just one mistake. There were multiple compounding errors that aligned in such a rare and statistically improbable way that the resulting coin became an absolute unicorn in the coin collecting world. And to understand why someone was willing to pay nearly $3 million for this particular coin, we need to dissect the series of issues that made it so unique, starting with its double die obverse, which refers to a misalignment, or doubling of the design on the front of the coin due to the die, the tool used to strike the design onto the blank coin, being impressed twice or shifting slightly between strikes, and this caused visible doubling in the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," as well as on Jefferson's iron collar, creating a dramatic visual effect that is immediately noticeable under magnification and even to the naked eye for seasoned collectors. But what makes this more exciting is that the doubling wasn't the only error present, as this coin also suffered from a highly rare planchet flaw, meaning the actual blank metal disc used to strike the coin had imperfections before the design was even added, which resulted in incomplete details and a strange texture across parts of the coin's surface, particularly on the reverse side where Monticello appears almost ghosted out, as though partially erased or melted, leading experts to believe this coin was struck on a defective or improperly alloyed planchet, possibly a transitional metal type that wasn't intended for the 2006 nickel series. And as if that wasn't enough to already set collectors' hearts racing, the coin also features an off-center strike, meaning the die struck the coin in a misaligned way so that the design is visibly shifted and part of it falls off the edge of the coin blank entirely. And while mild off-center strikes are relatively common in coin errors, this particular example was misaligned by nearly 15%, which is considered highly desirable and rare, especially when combined with the other issues already mentioned. But perhaps what elevates this coin from merely valuable to mind-blowingly historic is that the U.S. Mint, at the time of discovery, was completely unaware of such a coin being produced, and no other example has surfaced since, making it a one-of-a-kind piece or discovery coin, as numismatists call it, which means the coin holds not just monetary value but also historical significance as the first and only known specimen of its type, which makes it incredibly desirable to high-end collectors, museums, and investors alike who understand the rarity of true minting anomalies of this magnitude, and the mystique surrounding the coin is further fueled by the fact that it came from a standard 2006 US mint roll, meaning it was sitting unnoticed among dozens of regular nickels, potentially in circulation, before a sharp-eyed collector spotted the irregularities and sent it for grading, where it received an unprecedented error classification and a perfect storm of grading anomalies that included not only the errors mentioned earlier but also a partial collar strike, where the coin was not fully encased in the retaining collar during striking, resulting in a slightly out-of-round or warped shape, giving it a subtly wavy edge not normally seen on circulating coinage, and this combined with microscopic die cracks along the rim, stress lines from an overpolished die, and even signs of what experts call die clash, which happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring some of their designs onto each other, and creating a ghostly mirrored effect that appears faintly on the fields of the coin. And to add one more layer of intrigue, metallurgical analysis revealed slightly irregular metal content compared to standard nickels, suggesting the possibility that the planchet may have come from a test batch or was accidentally fed from a previous year's blank stockpile, possibly intended for another denomination or experimental issue. And when you consider all these overlapping issues, double die, off-center strike, planchet flaw, collar strike, die clash, die cracks, and abnormal metallurgy, it becomes clear that this coin is essentially a perfect storm of numismatic anomalies, a Frankenstein's monster of minting mishaps that somehow survived quality control, entered circulation, and was later plucked from obscurity to become a record-breaking collectible. And this teaches us an important lesson about the world of modern coin collecting, which is that value isn't just about age or how shiny a coin is, but about uniqueness, rarity, and the story it tells. And the 2006 Jefferson nickel tells one of the most compelling stories in modern U.S. coinage, a tale of chaos at the mint, of precision gone awry, and of how a humble nickel became a multimillion-dollar legend. So the next time you're about to hand over your change at the store or toss a handful of coins into a jar, take a closer look, because you never know. Maybe you're holding the next $1 million mistake in your hand. And if this story has taught us anything, it's that there's magic in the mundane, treasure in the trivial, and sometimes, just sometimes, a 5-cent coin can rewrite the rules of what's possible in the world of collecting. So stay tuned for more incredible coin discoveries, unbelievable auction results, and behind-the-scenes stories from the numismatic universe that will change the way you think about money forever.